Well, this week, amid a lot of hype, America is reliving Beatlemania.
A chapter in Beatle history was written here in Indianapolis 31 years ago, and a Wish TV camera was there to record it. John, Paul, George, and Ringo played 2 shows in one day at the Indiana State Fair. Ken Owen takes a special look back with fans and very rare footage.
Arriving at Weircook Municipal Airport, the Beatles got their first view of Indiana.
At that point in time, everything was the Beatles. You couldn't turn on a radio without hearing them.
The security precautions far more elaborate than when the late President Kennedy visited the same airport.
The Beatles were such an unknown thing that nobody really had any idea about what was going to happen.
They arrived on Hoosier soil in the wee hours of September 3rd, 1964, the year 4 lads from Liverpool conquered America. Vicky Barton, Sonny Columbus, and Bonnie Britton were each 14 years old on that day. They were in this crowd.
On behalf of all of the State Fair Board and all the good guys from WIFB, may I present the Beatles!
Take a Pacers playoff game and multiply by 3. Only the pitch is much higher because we're not talking about, grown men screaming for a team. We're talking about, ah!
You couldn't really hear them real well at all.
Nerve-wracking, packed, kids everywhere.
There were 2 shows, each about a half-hour long. This one at the Fairgrounds Coliseum in the afternoon, another a few hours later in the grandstand. Tickets were $3 to $5, expensive for the day, and they were hard to get. This is a dressing room in the bowels of the Coliseum where bands relax before they take the stage. To give you an idea how things have changed since 1964, nowadays you hear about bands that ask for all kinds of unusual things in their contract riders. The Beatles management kept it pretty simple. All they requested was a supply of clean towels, chairs, a case of cold Coca-Cola, and, if at all possible, a portable TV set. The biggest news might have been made after the 2 shows. In fact, when Paul McCartney returned to Indianapolis in 1990, I asked him if he had any memories of that day, all those years ago.
I remember a couple of guys went out with a couple of policemen and stayed up all night drinking. It's my memory.
Paul's memory is a bit foggy. Actually, Jack Marks and 2 other Indiana State Troopers gave Ringo a tour of the city, including the Circle and the Speedway, before taking the mop-top drummer to Mark's home for coffee and a Carmel restaurant for breakfast.
He really enjoyed himself as far as being out. He was having a little freedom, which he hadn't had for some time.
Marks, who's now retired and living in Noblesville, spent about 6 hours with Ringo, finally bringing him back to the Speedway Motel at about 7 in the morning, where Ringo was considered missing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they were worried about him, but he was in good hands.
The Beatles left town later that day with a send-off by fans.
I should be in this line. Wait a minute. Oh, I'm there somewhere. There's my brother. There's my little brother. My little brother Bob. Oh, my Lord. That little kid that just shook hands with him, that was my little brother Bob. Yes, my little brother Bob, who just turned 40.
I feel fortunate to be able to see a Beatles concert because there's not too many people that got to see the Beatles concert. I'm really lucky, really lucky.
Looking back, it's like, wow, I got to go see the Beatles in concert now. But I definitely wished I'd been older to appreciate it more.
This was the high point of my life. And that 24 hours was sort of the culmination of months of thinking about the Beatles, about dreaming about the Beatles.
It's been 31 years, 2 months, and 17 days since, and the dreamers still dream. Ken Owen, Wish TV, News 8.
I recall Jim Curtis shot those pictures for Wish TV. Bonnie Britton, by the way, wrote an article about shaking Paul McCartney's hand for her school newspaper, her first. Today, she is the movie critic for the Indianapolis Star. Ken has more Beatle memories tomorrow night.
That's great.